Hello, everyone. So I figured I do some recordings where I go into tech stuff that interests me, simply because I don't get to do that in depth during my live streams. And of course, I've been doing live streams recently, browsing Upwork and looking for things to do. And we came across this listing that reminded me of some stuff I did last year with Whisper and um, text to speech, and some issues I ran into, which are pretty interesting. And some of that stuff is actually really funny. So I figured I talk about that a little bit. And it has even world blah 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 real world benefits, because if you're using maybe Transcribe in the cloud by some of the large cloud providers, you might be paying a bunch for something that you can do for free with Whisper. And it's a really easy model to run. You don't even need uh, much of anything. But yeah, so we'll be looking at the problem that this company here once solved, and then the general problem with silence in audio recordings when you text to speech them, because there's this thing called hallucinating with machine learning models, which is so interesting because those models desperately try to come up with an answer. So if they sometimes don't have an answer, they start hallucinating or talking crap. And in the case of text to speech, if you give them silence or noise, the model tries so hard to come up with something to say that sometimes it just starts spouting nonsense. And of course, then you won't know that, and then you think that this is really a real transcription, and it's really just nonsense. And I found this GitHub issue with OpenAI's Whisper really funny, because uh, yeah, somebody pointed out the silence equals hallucinations issue is very common and very problematic. Look at the example below where the model started hallucinating. That's what she said, that's what she said, that's what she said, and it was just silence. But for some reason, it started thinking that it's hearing that's what she said. But yeah, and I came across the exact same problem, just transcribing stuff with Whisper. But all that stuff, Whisper, even last year, was already so great that, yeah, you can save a lot of money by maybe transcribing locally versus using the cloud providers' um, text-to-speech features. Because look at this. Look at Amazon Transcribe pricing. So for the first 250,000 minutes, you pay this much per minute. So let's say, like I did, you record yourself a bunch for hours and hours, and then you want that transcribed. Let me bring up the calculator here. Let's say I have myself talking for 8 hours, and it's 60 minutes, and then times the rate here. So you're paying $11.50 to get the transcription, when you could get it for free with Whisper, running it locally. And Whisper is so easy. And I created a little folder here. Let me just show you. And I'm even just using here. I mean, you basically download it, install it, and I'm using it here from the just plain even command line. No PowerShell or nothing. We copy the command. And I created a sample file. That was actually from last year, where I was like just recording. They actually feature some people who have either a troubled past or some learning difficulties, and then they find a home in AI and ML.
That's when I felt like maybe.
Yeah, so I was talking there about some AWS videos, but see, if I just run Whisper here on the on the sample file. And I'll probably have to cut out some stuff here. Yeah, so and here it's going, and if you have looked at something like YouTube video transcription files, VTT format, you recognize that, and so it tells you, and you can even have it recognize on a word level, and that is very accurate, which is like so neat because you can know which word was said from which millisecond marker to the next. Yeah, so this works great, and I recommend it, except for if you have a lot of silence in your video. But first, let me look at, just just for fun. Let's look at one more recording and just compare the quality of my local whisper on a crappy computer with not even a good graphics card, or NVIDIA stuff or whatever, with the transcription that you have, for example, on the YouTube video that was obviously generated by Google, just to compare the quality. So let's look a little bit at this hilarious video. I ate at every rainforest cafe in the country, one of my favorites.
I cannot stress how many vines there are in this restaurant. As we walked in, we noticed these large aquarium pillars that seem to be missing. It's an important aspect of an aquarium. I'm trying to remember what it's called. Oh, fish. Yeah, there's no fish. But as we were seated, there was only one thing on my mind, the menu. I still hadn't seen the menu, and I couldn't have guessed the things I would read next.
All right, so you listened here to the original. Yeah, so here are the YouTube subtitles. And if you're in the know, you know that you can easily download just the transcripts of YouTube videos. So this is what comes from YouTube, and you can recognize this is what he said. That seemed to isn't important. Oh, yeah. So there's just okay. So this is the YouTube VTT file. And now let's look what comes out of Whisper here. And Whisper actually generates like JSON and different formats. So that's really great if you prefer one format over the other. And yeah, so this is from, generated locally. Yeah, and if you read, I won't read that here aloud, but you can see that it's like a really good transcription. And it even gives you as a VTT format as well. So yeah, so that worked really, really well. And then I wrote a little something that gives the whisper results to me in the JSON format that I used to get out of the AWS Transcribe. So which is the only piece you basically have to do. Well, it's not the only piece. Basically, if you're using AWS Transcribe and you're tired of paying so much money for it, then you have to do two things. First of all, set it up locally to run Whisper on a VM or wherever, and then translate the Whisper output into the format that your downstream processes expect from, because AWS Transcribe has its own JSON format. So, but if you know how to reformat data, it's pretty easy to do. And the thing is, transcribe is not synchronous. You can't like make a call, send an MP3 file, and get the result back. So if you're using AWS Transcribe, you already have an asynchronous process where you upload an MP3 file, probably to S3, fire off, transcribe, and then check on the results. So that is perfect for, just set up a VM with Whisper or whatever. And because it's asynchronous, you can just then replace that piece, and instead of checking the endpoint of AWS, if the result is there and downloading it, you will check maybe a folder on your computer if the result is there, and then you read the file and you have the result, which is what I set up. And it's like really, you know, I mean, I did it quick and dirty. You know, you might want to do it somehow different if you have like a large scale operation, but if it's just, you know, like me, just running batch processes for yourself, then, you know, you can just have a batch file like this where you just have a folder, local transcribe, and whenever any program dumps any MP3 file in there, then it runs Whisper on it, waits a little bit, and then deletes the file, and does that in a, you know, forever loop. And that works surprisingly well. I mean, I can transcribe my ramblings for hours and hours and hours. And yeah, so I pretty quickly replaced AWS Transcribe with this approach. Of course, if you need help with any of that, you know, just contact me. Or like, for example, if you are interested in replacing Azure Transcribe or anything else. But yeah, let's look at the problem with hallucination, because that's the big problem with text to speech with Whisper that I found. That the hallucination is pretty brutal, and you know what? There might have been updates to that model now where it's better, but yeah, let's go back to that Upwork listing that we came across, where you have a company that basically has, you know, an agent that actually talks on the phone with customers, and it's an automated agent that uses ChatGPT, any kind of GPT, to send voice replies to the inquiries that it gets from customers. And the problem here that they have is that it takes too long to, you know, for the LLM to answer. And that's a problem anyway. You know, I haven't even let Devin speak in this video so far, but let me think of something to ask here my robot sidekick. Yeah, hey Devin, what do you think of Whisper by OpenAI? And see, we have to wait, you know, because it takes a little bit for it to answer. Okay, let me try again. Hey Devin, are there any issues with OpenAI's Whisper model?
Whisper can be resource-intensive and may struggle with some accents or dialects. Whisper, while powerful, requires significant computational resources, which can be a limitation for some users. It may have difficulties accurately transcribing speech with heavy accents or less common dialects. Additionally, like many AI models, it can occasionally produce errors or hallucinations, especially with complex or ambiguous audio inputs.
Yeah, so, well, it worked just fine for my ramblings with my thick accent. So, and even on my computer without a great graphics card. So, you know, but yeah, the hallucinations are a big problem. So, and you know, as you can see, it always takes a little bit for LLM to generate the answer anyway, versus if you're talking with a real person. So that's already annoying. And then this problem, this company here has a problem that when there's background noise on the phone, the automated agent goes on way too long continuing to listen, thinking that it's still the person speaking when it's really just background noise. And that's a big problem because let's see, somebody calls, let's say somebody calls from their car and there's a lot of traffic noise in the background, the agent might not respond at all because it keeps listening, and it might even pick up just garbage, like I showed earlier, where somebody had a problem with AI whisper, that silence was interpreted as that's what she said, and I actually had way more like weird stuff going on. Like if you transcribe this video, which is just somebody driving and the road noise is pretty heavy. So let's listen to this for a bit. Yeah, so this is just wind noise and traffic noise. But if you transcribe it, let me pull up what came up in the transcription. Yeah, so I had to copy and paste it out here to plain Notepad, because I don't want to subject you to all my Notepad++ tabs. But yeah, so this is what it recognizes here. And this is all like BS. Let's see here at 6:02, 6 minutes and 02, it thinks that it hears, "You wouldn't believe nothing if it wasn't you, wouldn't you?" Yeah, so there was a little bit of somebody talking on the sidewalk, and you even like, how do you know? They said like, "I know" or something, but clearly this is all like BS. Here it even like recognizes some I don't know, foreign language. Wer macht camera at 9:05? And I promise I move on here quickly, but it's just so fascinating. Yeah, that is just noise. So, but that hallucination thing really kind of scares me almost a bit, because imagine that like in the far future you have AI models like evaluating everything maybe that you do or say on the phone when talking to companies or whatever, and then you who knows, suddenly you're on the books having said something completely inappropriate, or when it was just a hallucination by AI. And I think we've had that with like an Amazon driver who complained that the customer had called them a bad word and then the Amazon account got actually like canceled or put on hold, and that person had to jump through a lot of hoops when the Ring camera showed that he didn't say nothing, not the N-word or any kind of bad stuff to the driver. But yeah, like if you let AI decide stuff, the problem is that AI might be right 99% of the time, but it could also be wrong. And if a company relies very much on AI, then a person might be hosed if they fall into the 1%. Anyway, these kind of things really fascinate me. But yeah, back to that company. The problem is the silence detection, because I try to wire that into my workflow, so I wouldn't try to transcribe silence. But the problem is that sometimes noise is, just as loud as somebody talking, as we've seen, and it's like really hard to find the right setting. So I would never apply for this, and I kind of I feel sorry for anybody who jumps into this thinking that this is an easy problem to solve, when it's really not. Let's go back to my project here. I mean, you can with FFmpeg, there's a silence detection command, and you can even give it like a decibel noise level. Oops. Okay, yeah, I renamed it for the stream. Sample file. Yeah, so with the FFmpeg detection, silence detection, you can actually, find out what sections have silence, and then maybe any silence that's longer than a second cut out. But I tried it even with that and ran into problems where it was either cutting out too much or it was cutting out too little. And to find that golden decibel level to say this is silence and this is not, wow, that's a difficult problem. But yeah, so let's see, have I talked about everything that I wanted to talk about? Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, in summary, Whisper from OpenAI is cool. It does, have its issues, which is maybe why they open sourced it, because in the end, very often, if you're a company, you might have to still then reach for more sophisticated TTS systems or models. But yeah, I've rambled on way too long. Thanks for watching, and join me on my streams where we look through Upwork projects. And a lot of that stuff is garbage, but a lot of these companies have, some problems that are really interesting to look at. And we always see, all kinds of interesting stuff during those streams. So thanks so much, and I see you soon. Bye.